Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto for GrowUpMyBag.tv. Hope you're having a good one. What's good, what's good, what's good? It's been a day, has it not? It's been a day. Tomorrow's going to be another day. Tomorrow will absolutely be another day. It's going to be nuts. It's absolutely going to be nuts. Let's see if this has started yet. Huh. I don't know. Looks like Facebook doesn't want to play. I don't know that I'm going to waste too much time on it. There's a lot of stuff going on. So everybody, what's good? What's good? What's good? You woke up this morning and all of a sudden there was an outage for a good portion of the internet. Why? Well, it was part of it was Cloudflare. Cloudflare took a hit. My man Rick Ritchie, thank you for letting us know that you have indeed invested in yourself. That's what's up. So what's crazy is, I'm actually upset that Facebook is not live. That's nuts. Let me try to refresh this page. I mean, I don't know how many people I'm going to get on Facebook, but I hate, I'm really trying to grow that side, even though everything's going to be moving soon. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. So part of the internet was down. I want to play a scenario in your head. ChatGPT goes down. The whole world is sitting there talking about, I can't get work done. For a minute, couldn't get work done. Took them a while to figure out what was going on. Obviously, it took them a while to figure out how to fix it. And so you're sitting there and you're kind of like, how's that work? You know what I mean? Like, huh? What we doing here? So I'm looking at everything and I'm just sitting there. I'm kind of saying to myself, yeah, it would have been a good idea for people to kind of catch up to that, to kind of say themselves 12 minutes ago. Huh. Oh, that was Rick. I see you over there on Facebook, Rick. Think you funny. You think you're funny. But yeah, I'm looking at everything going down, work unable to be done. And we're talking about work on, and Facebook is live now, which is awesome sauce. Let me see. I wonder if I can open up another window. No, copy link. Like I just want to go, I want to go to that one page. Like, Facebook does not have an easy way to see things. And I think that's dumb. Like for me, truthfully, I just want to see the comments. I'm here for the comments. Right? Now, if you can't get work done and you're a small business, that's more than just a little bit of a problem. That's more than just a little bit of a problem. So I'm trying to understand how businesses are thinking about AI. And I'm not trying to, spew advice or anything else like that, but I really am trying to understand how businesses are looking at AI and how they think it's helping them. 8 Paws in the house. Thank you for letting me know that you invested in yourself today. Oh, tonight's question. What accounting software company just cut a deal with OpenAI? BDO, Oracle, Sage, or other. If you think it's other, put it down in the comments. And there's going to be a lot to discuss with that one. There's going to be a lot to discuss with that one. Because I'm trying to hold my tongue. I'm trying to hold my tongue because there really is a lot to talk about. There really is a lot to talk about. Oh, I've got 2 going now, huh? I've got 2 streams going. That's amaze balls. Let me see if I can stop one stream and see if it. I've got 2 streams going. That's amaze balls. Let me see if I can stop one stream and see if it's okay. All right. I only need to send one stream over to YouTube for it to work. Looks like things are okay, but we shall see. We shall see, because Vimeo's been acting up, and I don't know if they've actually fixed their ish yet. But we've got a ton of news. Cloudflare's outage, yay. I will say this. They were on it. However, that's one company that controls a huge portion of internet traffic. Let that kind of wash over you for a little bit. There are tons of websites out there that are all leveraging Cloudflare for various services. Problem. Yo, Hutanic, thank you for letting us know you invested in yourself. So you start to realize, wow, there are definitely bottlenecks across the internet. And right there, that's a problem. Because it's not meant to be like that. It's not meant to work like that. If this route is messed up, it's supposed to be rerouted, all that kind of stuff. And it goes to show that the approach that some of these businesses have, why are you all relying on one company? I get it. They provide great services. That's awesome. That's great. But you're tied into that one company. There needs to be, there need to be other ways. CTOs, chief technology officers, chief information officers need to take a step back and kind of say to themselves, what's our backup plan? What's our backup plan? Because at some point, you've got to say to yourself, that's mission critical. We can't afford to go down. If you're an internet-based company, you can't afford to go down. Your ChatGPT, that is your business. That's your whole business. That's right, Dark Horse. However, okay, you're investing in yourself tonight. I'll let that go. Okay, thank you for letting us know. But yeah, you can't have a single point of failure. And some businesses be like, oh, but there's no other company out there that does. That would be a fib. That would be a fib. That's a nice way of saying lie. There are other companies that do what Cloudflare does. Cloudflare is just the biggest and baddest that do what they do. But that's a huge portion of the internet that's down. When ChatGPT went down, you want to know what I actually did? I got up, I grabbed myself a cup of cappuccino, came back downstairs and looked to see how my processes are going, because I don't use any of that stuff. We have our own implementation of AI that we rely upon. So we don't give our data to them or anything else like that. Everything's in-house. Yay. And we get the same level of quality. We get the same everything, probably better quality, because we can put in checks and balances that say things. So when you look at today's issue, that was a huge, huge, huge monetary hit on a lot of companies around the world. Just saying. I believe the inflection point was London. I think it was London Edge. That's a problem. I'm just saying. People like to think that, the internet is up in the clouds. Not really. Those cables are in the ocean. Yeah. Yeah. People are sitting there going, what? Yeah. The inter cables through which the internet traverses. Yeah. They're in the water. They're in the water. They get cut 100 times a year. Something happens. Uh-huh. Yep. Yep. So there's a lot that happens right there. So that's one thing. Renewed activity in dormant Libra wallets, including $57 million in USDC, saw the accumulation of 456,401 Solana or Sol. Wow. Yeah, because that's what it was built on. That's what that coin was built on. That's what that meme coin was built on. That's what that rug pull meme coin was built on. So I want everybody to understand that, yes, I have issues with Solana, right? And my issues are that they wanted to be the meme coin project. And well, they are. They are. And hopefully the meme coins and all that fake traffic will go away and usher in real traffic. I think that's where the problem lies. I think that's when you're really going to see Solana's salt, right? Because if it's a meme coin, you don't really care if it goes down. It's not a necessary thing, right? You're not putting anything mission critical on Solana. Meme coins are not mission critical. So when they go away and they start garnering real traffic, what happens? Asking for a friend. I just want to know what happens, right? I don't want to see that. They start garnering real traffic. Woo! Let me turn that sound off. There you go. I'm trying here. This is all a new setup. On how I have things going. Let me just welcome. I don't think there's going to be anybody over on the Facebook side, but you never know. So when you start to realize what's going on, you start to sit back and kind of say to yourself, well, what happens when they get real traffic? If packets get dropped, and Hutanik and I talk about this all the time. I have a few of my friends that we talk about this all the time. If packets are getting dropped a lot, can real traffic afford to have packets dropped? Oh, sure. Maybe you have speed. But it's not actual, right? Your transactions per second is not based on real traffic. They're calculations. So I want to see what happens. I know I'm evil. I'm petty. I don't wish them foul. I don't necessarily care for how they do business. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily care for how they do business. How they talk about things, how they brag about things, how they go up to try to say things negatively about other projects. Focus on your project, buddy. That's right. One of the founders, remember a couple of weeks ago, I told you he was talking some ish about Ethereum. And I'm like, dude, there's no way in the world you could have a coherent conversation with Vitalik Buterin. Go take a seat. Go take many a seat. Because I also think it's disrespectful. Right? You had a playbook to build your platform. He didn't. He had Bitcoin and those things that failed before Bitcoin, DigiCash, things like that. Yeah, no. So I really, I'm hoping that they can handle real traffic. I'm hoping they can address the idea of dropped packets. But we'll see. We shall see, right? We shall see. I just think it's funny. Ethereum dumped a lot. Everybody dumped a lot today. Markets dumped. Crypto markets dumped. Stock markets dumped. Crypto markets dumped. And I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, oh my God. Like right now, I'm like a deer in the headlights. Well, I've got tools that make sure that I don't stay a deer in the headlights. I'm a deer in the headlights because, let me just go over this list. It's really cool being able to flip screens again. So let's go do that. So if you think about this, look at all these coins that you have to play with. Bitcoin, Ethereum. My brother was asking me, yo, what's up with Bitcoin? It lost all its money from this year. What's that about? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, my brother's asking me about crypto? My big brother. You're asking me about crypto? Are you serious? Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. Hutanik, don't use numbers again. I'd rather you say I dumped some crypto. I dumped this crypto for that crypto, but I don't ever want you to use numbers again. I don't think anybody here should be using numbers in the public. Okay? Not mad at you. I know you just want to share, but I know from a security perspective, that's not what you want to share. But yes, it gave up all its gains. We're back where we were in 2004, 2024. Sorry, 2024. So I'm just like, yeah, interesting. That right there is very interesting, right? So I'm looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, BNB, and you probably want to understand why. Bitcoin, because it's Bitcoin. And if I get in on Bitcoin, it goes back to where it was. You can look at that percentage and see how much of a gain you would have, right? Year to date, you're down 1.56%. But if you go back to its high 126, you can see the distance that you're at and you can say, oh, that's the percentage I think I can make if it goes back to 126. Okay. Then you've got Ethereum. Its all-time high was almost 5,000. Another number that I can see right now, like, wow, that's real. That's a real number. How much is that from 3,000? You can do the percentages. So when I'm a deer in the headlights, I can take a step back and I can say, I'm not going to look at this. I'm not going to try to do it in my head. I'm going to look at all the coins that I like, all the coins that I would buy into if I had infinite amount of money. And I'm going to rank them by how much money they can make. How much value can they get from me? That's what I'm going to do. Ta-da! And that way I don't have to sit there thinking about, oh my God, how much money, what, can I do this? Can I do that? Blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not going to do that. Now, going to Cardano's at 47 cents. If it hits $1, you've more than 1x'd, right? What are the chances of it hitting $1? I think the chances are really high that it could hit $1. I think the chances are really high that it could hit $1. Do I think Cardano can make me more money than Aster or Hyperliquid? Now there's a question, right? Cardano doesn't rise like that. If everything rises and gets back to where it was, Cardano's at 80 cents. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. $1? You're stretching a little bit because Cardano doesn't move like that. Cardano moves slowly over time. So if I'm giving myself a time period, here's the time frame. It's 30 days. This is how much time you have. Is it going to hit $1 in 30 days? Well, I'm going to give myself another number. And then I will do the math to see which ones I should be buying. Given the time frame, I can look at what are the chances and how much money I'm going to have. Chance is the number I'm going to give it. The number that I can gain is the number that I think it can get to. The percentage I think it can get to back to where it was, right? And now I don't have to think like that. I've taken my thought framework and put it into a tool. So I can go against that tool, but my way of thinking is if I go against that tool, I'm going against my risk framework. Why would I do that? I better have a really good question, a really good answer for that, because I have to prove the case. Because when I make purchases, I write down what it is I'm looking at, what it is I'm looking for. Yeah. So I have to be able to make that case. But looking at all the coins, even if you're new and you said, well, I'm going to look at the top 50 coins. All right. You look at the top 50 coins and you do the same calculation and you start to realize, yeah, I finally took my stuff out. So I shouldn't have any more nets anymore. So these are the last ones. I shouldn't have to deal with that math in my head. I shouldn't have to deal with guessing. I shouldn't have to deal with deer in the headlights. I shouldn't have to deal with any of that. I was gonna buy today, and I should. I'll be looking overnight to see what it is. I'm a little antsy about NVIDIA. But I also think NVIDIA is going to report really good numbers. I'm antsy about it, but I think they're going to report really good numbers. If they report really good numbers, I think things go like this. Because the market is seriously oversold. 4 down days. S&P is down 4 days in a row. So 4 days in a row, that's not small. That's big. That's really big. So I'm wondering. 4-year cycle check. Who still talks about that? Who's still talking about that? I don't talk about that anymore. I don't believe in that crap. TradeFi is over. TradeFi is taking over Bitcoin. Check. Jojo in the house. Jojo, you're gonna have to run the numbers, man. You're gonna have to run your numbers because I don't know how you buy. There is no best. There's best according to your risk framework. I know my risk framework. I have my list of coins. This is what I was describing before. I have my list of coins that I'd be willing to buy into right now, right? And it's not a big list. It's not a big list, but these are the ones that made it to the list of coins across all of my wallets, the trading wallets, as well as my hodling wallets. And I put those on a list and I say, okay, what am I willing to do? Because you can make a pretty penny right now. Imagine if you had, $100 and you can make 15% off of that. I'm 15% is good. But what happens if I look at another coin and their history is it would move greater than 50%. Like it has more volatility. I'm going to tell you now, I think Hyperliquid, Uniswap, Aster, if the market goes up, I think they could all do well. And people are probably sitting there going, why? Well, more traffic. Right? Not everybody is buying things via a decentralized exchange. Facts. Facts. Right? So those are all decentralized exchanges. So moves can be made, which means if they enjoy more traffic, what's going to happen? Something else that I'm looking at is, will the privacy coins pick up? Aha. That's something that I would be paying attention to as well. So there are a lot of reasons why I have that list. And there are a lot of reasons why I don't allow myself to stop and think about it. I don't want to think. I want to execute. I don't want to lie to myself. Hence, I have tools that stop me from having deer in the headlights. I'm running my tool that says, here are the numbers. Here's the rhythm. Here are the macro micro events that can affect it. Here's the weighting on those macro micro events. There you go. It's a mini version of what some of these other large companies are using to calculate risk and calculate impact on their holdings. I'm not doing anything new. I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm doing the same thing that the big boys do. Big girls too. I would think that Kathy Wood is a big girl. So I think that there's going to be a lot going on. But I don't know if you guys were paying attention. I also told you that the United States might join this international taxing consortium, as I'll call it, because they want to tax crypto internationally. So if you've got crypto holdings in another country, you could be taxed for that. I don't mind paying taxes. Whether I have my crypto here, overseas, whatever, it's there for a reason. It's there because my buying power was stronger. I'm not trying to duck taxes. Nah. It's right there on the board. If I'm making it, or if I'm paying it, I'm making it. I don't mind. Jojo, you have to answer a question. Have you invested in yourself today? We tend not to engage anybody that doesn't tell the community that they have invested in themselves today. That's a very big deal. Watch any of my videos, you'll see why it's a big deal. So something else I want to pay attention to with regard to Solana is their ecosystem surged because they cut a deal, or they got a deal with Fidelity, and you have a whole bunch of ETFs that popped out for them. I told you, you're going to start to see ETFs start to rise now. Going to be a big deal. Going to be a very big deal. The way things are going, it could very well be a... So we don't talk politics here, so we're just going to remove that. We don't talk politics unless it directly affects our bags, just so you know. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to tell you the truth. It doesn't matter to me monetarily, from an economic perspective, which one is going to go in the office. There are guaranteed changes that are going to happen. What's going to change is the question. I don't care who's in office. What is going to change? Who's going to be allowed to do what, when, where, how, why? We've had legalized insider trading, in the government for years. Which is why you have so many services that try to do the copy trading thing on Nancy Pelosi's one. You just have a whole bunch of people that have done well for themselves in Congress, in the government, and people are, copy trading them. I'd be very careful about that. Whether it's stocks, crypto, especially crypto, right? Because stocks can move over time, and but crypto can move on a dime. You could be riding high and all of a sudden crash. Straight line down. So yeah, I'd be very, very careful about that. Right? Very, very, very careful about that. And Jojo, with regard to ETFs, have you answered my question? You haven't answered the question if you've invested in yourself yet. So we'll move on from there. Aave launched a mobile savings app, a DeFi app. I want to go get the app because the reviews that I've heard, the talk on the street feels like a banking app. Some people are sitting there kind of going, well, I don't like banks. No, hold on. Hear me out. If a DeFi platform creates an app that gives you a familiar feeling like a bank, doesn't that make them more accessible? Doesn't it make that space more accessible? And Aave garners, I think it's 60% of the market, greater than 60% of the market. Huh. Yeah, I'd be looking at that. I would absolutely be looking at that. Because how easy is it to transact? Now you see where I'm going. The more people come up with a way to move away from banks, the easier it's going to be. Jojo, take your caps lock off, please. It's a little harsh on the eyes. And Jojo, I need to know if you've invested in yourself today. That's a very big deal. That we've got a standing rule. I don't engage people that, don't answer that question, because that's one of the tenets of the community. The whole point of this community is to invest in yourself. So I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying that's the idea of the community. That's how we've built this community. It's how we will continue to build this community. Yes, those trades are already in. That's right. They're in long before they're reported out. Long before. It's sort of like when you hear Warren Buffett or Peter Thiel or one of these rich fools, you know what I mean? One of these rich people out there making trades. Oh, Peter Thiel dumped all his Nvidia. That happened a long time ago. That didn't happen the day they heard about it. They only heard about it on that day. It happened a while ago. That's right. You didn't get access to that information until long after that trade was done. So when you're copy trading somebody like that, that's difficult to do. You want to know what's not difficult to do? Research them. How do they speak? What do they speak on? What's their history of transactions? You start to develop a picture of that person. So you have a lot of services out there that will tell you we've built an application that will weigh a stock or weigh a crypto through the eyes of a Warren Buffett, a Peter Thiel, a Peter Schiff, a Michael Saylor, blah, 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 blah. Right? Because what they're doing is they're saying, well, here are all the reported trades that they've done over the past X amount of time. Here are the major events that's happened over that period of time for those particular things. Here's what these holdings are doing for the future, blah, blah, blah. And then you can start to try to build out how these people may or may not think. Again, you're also always using backward-facing information. And the perfect example of that is BlackRock will never do crypto. And what did Larry Fink do? 180-degree turn saying, oops, I made a mistake. Thank you for letting them know that you've invested in yourself. That's a big deal. Thank you for that. Oh, you think you're the only one with several monitors? Me too. So yeah, you're when you buy into those services, again, you're backward looking. You're looking at what they've done in the past. You're trying to understand what that thought process was or what those thought processes were in past decisions and try to use that to look forward. I actually have no issue with using that as a research mechanism, right? One of. And what some of these services will do, like I said, they'll say, well, we've got these people in a box, and you can have them perform an analysis for you virtually, in the box against whatever it is that you're looking at. Here's the situation, here's blah, 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 blah. And now you've got different perspectives on that same stock. Warren Buffett, well, I'm going to sell at 10, 20%. Peter Thiel might be more bold. Just look at people who trade. Look at famous people that trade. Famous traders. Famous traders. Not famous people that trade. Famous traders. No, well-known traders. And you can start to understand how they're thinking. And that will help you understand different perspectives. So you come to your decision like this. Big help. So you start to realize that's how that could work. What else was big news? Kraken secured $800 million in funding, including a $600 million investment and a $200 million stake from Citadel Securities at a $20 billion with a B, $20 billion valuation. And they want to expand into Latin America, Asia Pacific, and I guess EMEA. I was trying to think of how I would say it, but EMEA. Europe, Middle East, Africa. I don't think that they're going to go IPO anytime soon. They're not in a rush. They can go IPO, not go IPO. They're not in a rush. But I would be paying attention to Kraken. I would absolutely be paying attention to Kraken. I will be paying attention to any crypto company, as I reported this morning. I'll be paying attention to any crypto company that buys a bank. That's honestly how I would look at it. Why is that? Well, the reason why is because when you look at those crypto companies moving into the banking space, it's all about the on-ramp. It's all about the ease of on-ramping fiat, off-ramping fiat. It's all about that. It's something to think about. Right? So for me, it's one of those things that I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, I'm going to be paying attention to Kraken. I actually have nothing against Kraken's platform. I just have preferred platforms that I use. But I've used Kraken's platform. I've used MEXC's platform. Not a fan of MEXC. I'm just not. Before all the rules came, I have used so many different platforms, well-known ones, Gate.io, Bybit, Binance, Binance.us. I've used so many. So if the way I look at it is, if the IRS is going to go after getting taxes from around the world, right, then I would also expect the IRS to, or the United States government to allow you to use any centralized exchange. Right? Because if you're going to tax me and I've got some on that exchange, then I should be allowed to use that exchange. I shouldn't have to use a VPN or whatever else it is. I should be allowed to do that. Because remember, the United States had, during the whole crackdown, they were like, no, you can't use those anymore. I had to scramble. I was using so many exchanges that I was like, oh my God, that exchange is not based in the United States. So I had to scramble to get my stuff off of there. Binance, I had a massive problem. I had a lot of value stuck on Binance, proper Binance, right? And it was the only one. And I didn't forget about it, but it was just, wasn't thinking about it. And then I got an email that said, if you don't move it now, it'll still be yours, but I don't know how you're going to be able to access that. And for a while, I was unable to access it. And then I found a way. And I was able to extract all of my value off of there. Something to think about. Jojo, have a good night. Have to hit the gym. All right. Don't get crushed. Don't overwork it. Go rip some muscles. Get bigger. Be healthy. What else do we have? VanEck launched VanEck Solana VSOL. Offering zero fees for the first $1 billion in assets that it reaches. And it's doing all right. It's doing all right. Right. Invested $5 billion in Anthropic. And you're probably sitting there, why is that a big deal? This is the crypto overflow. It's a big deal because a lot of people are using generative AI to help them with their investing. Dare I say, some of them are silly enough to allow AI to trade for them. Yeah, see, that won't be me. I'll leverage AI to do research, do a lot of things. I might even let AI tell me, identify good ins and outs for me, but I will not allow AI to execute for me. I won't even allow it to set up the trade. Aha. Yeah, no, no access, nothing like that. Nope. I will feed AI the data. It will feed back ideas, and then I will either execute or not execute. Separation. Got to have that separation. Because I'm telling you, you're going to hear about a lot of people that decided not to have that separation that are going to have problems. that are going to have problems. Tonight's question: what accounting software company just cut a deal with OpenAI? BDO, Sage, Oracle, or other? Yeah. Now, before we get into who it is, the question for me is, well, doesn't that leave a huge security hole? There's already a security hole. It's already a security hole, right? Because you're going to be giving it your personal information. Now, this takes it way beyond. They're going to integrate ChatGPT or OpenAI software into its platform. In order for it to do anything for you, it's going to have to give up the goods. Your data will have to go back to OpenAI. It will know who you are. It will know about your money. Yeah, it's the whole thing is not sounding good, is it? Yeah. I want you to think about the deals that they've cut lately, because this will hit you funny too. They cut a deal with PayPal. So if you use PayPal to buy things, they know what you buy. They cut a deal with Shopify. So if you buy things on Shopify, well, via OpenAI, they know specifically what you've bought, not just where. And now here's your tax information. Is that not a vivid picture? So Intuit, why? Tell me about the security you're going to have that's going to protect my data, because you're literally telling me that if I use your services, my data is going to be shared over there. And we all know what happens once it gets shared, right? We all know what happens once it gets shared. Not to belittle your point, Hutanik, but advertising ID means nothing. It means nothing once I have all of that information that you have volunteered. Use your credit card, you're volunteering your information. Your data is taken, dumped into a pool, private, personal identifying information is removed, and that data is used for analytics. Now, that's not a bad thing, right? It helps us buy, helps us sell, helps us do stuff. So if you're removing the PII, I've consulted companies that do this. If you're removing the PII, I'm fine with that. There are so many steps to wash personal identifiable information from the data. Yeah, okay, I've got some trust in that. However, my tax information. I wonder what the terms of service are going to look like right there. What is that going to look like? Holy freaking moly. Just the level of wow. My tax information out there for all to see. I'm amazed. I'd be afraid. I asked my accountant, how do you store my information? Oh, I use your information, and when I'm done with it, I wipe shit. I have your tax records and supporting information over on this device, blah, 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 blah. Cool. I've been with Christy Nicholas for over 20 years. Personal and business finances. Crypto too. That's my CPA. So yeah, I'm cool with that. But I'm gonna give my information to a company that I'm not sure how they secure my information, and then they're gonna give my information or access to, no, they're basically giving your information over to OpenAI to examine my taxes. How is that a good thing? How is that a good thing? I could care less if Intuit is good at what they do, bad at what they do, dark horse. I don't care. This move, yeah, nah, I would never. I would never. You know, when I was a kid, I used to do my own taxes because I was able to use the easy form. I was like, yeah, I'll do my own taxes for years, for years. Then I started making real money, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that anymore. Can't do that. Started making real money, 401k, that kind of stuff. Bought an apartment, just stuff. And I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. Because my thing was I couldn't tell if I was doing everything correctly. I knew the math was fine, all that good stuff. Would I take a shot at doing my own taxes now? Yeah, but I'd still pay a CPA to look it over. In which case, I might as well pay the CPA to freaking do the work. That was how I came to the decision. If I'm going to pay a CPA to look at it, I might as well pay the CPA to do it, because there's one other thing that you get when you use a CPA. If you get audited, they come with you. Not to say that, you'll get off or anything else like that, but whatever questions you don't have, whatever questions you're asked, they can answer because they're your tax preparer. I've never used, no. There was one year I used H&R Block because they came out with that whole, if we see that you're going to get money back, we can give you that money ahead of time, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. So I was young. I said, oh, okay, I'll do that. I could use the money now. Cool. I don't have to wait. But that was it. One and done. Never did it again. I was like, I'm either going to do it myself or I'm going to find somebody to do it for me. And I kept doing it for myself for a little while until I figured out my company was doing well, bought an apartment. Okay, now it's time to pay that money. And I thought it was going to be mad expensive, but you just do taxes, a couple of questions throughout the year. Christy is the bomb. Christy is the bomb. So yeah. I have to have the conversation about not using certain Intuit tools. Yeah, no, I'm not. If I have to have that deep of a conversation, I'm not having it. That means criminals only have to hack into Intuit or OpenAI. Yeah. See, I have to hack into either one of those. And given how hackers are leveraging different attack vectors against OpenAI, Anthropic, and the rest of them, yeah, I don't know that they're going to put anything in place, especially when handling taxes. I mean, large companies, you've either been hacked or you're going to be hacked. If you're plugged in, you can be hacked. Oh, you're not connected to the internet. If I think you have valuable data, I can get to you. I mean, maybe not me personally, but you can be gotten. Now you're catching on. These are not little conversations. These are big conversations. There's no way in the world I'm going to work with any accounting firm that's leveraging AI to look at my data and review it. Nah. No. Nuh-uh. What kind of crazy am I looking for in the opening bell? Are you serious with that question? You should be looking at extended hours. Why would you be waiting for the opening bell? When I come on in the morning and I say implied open is this, you have extended hours. You have extended hours before market open. You have extended hours after market close. You also have Asian markets that are up. Pay attention. So crazy? Calm before the storm? But I'm not expecting that to hit. I'm not expecting that to hit when the opening bell happens. I'm expecting that to hit whenever Nvidia comes out with their numbers. What time does Nvidia come out with numbers? Is it morning or afternoon? Is it before market or after market? Yeah, it's after the market closes. That's what you're looking for after the market closes. Market closes at 4. Now the question is, are they going to do it before extended hours closes? Most likely. So extended hours tomorrow is going to be insane. Oh, I should have been in on that. Maybe. Again, I will say it like this. If I'm expecting Intuit stock to go up, what I'm also going to be looking for is whose stock would go up more percentage-wise. I'm applying that same thing. Market goes up. Who do I think is going to increase value by the largest percentage? Intuit has a great time. Boom. Intuit's going to do well. I mean, Nvidia is going to do well, right? They have a great quarter, whatever it is. Boom. Cool. Remember, all things have to be firing. They have to have a great quarter, and they have to project that they're going to have a great quarter next quarter. That's how the boom happens. Now, if the boom happens, well, who else's stock could rise? Let's suppose Intuit stock goes up 10%. Whose stock stands to rise 12%? Ah, good one. Felix 6924. Question for you: have you invested in yourself? But it sounds like you've been sitting here listening. So AMD is a good idea. All the chip stocks. Here's another one for you. Broadcom. Who's in their space? Who's in their space? Who goes up because Nvidia goes up? That's what I'm looking for. And I should have known that like a long time ago. Now you know why I keep telling you guys, I want to understand the rhythm of a coin. People probably think I'm crazy. No, I want to understand the rhythm of a coin. The rhythm of a coin. Because right now, everybody's kind of bouncing around right here, waiting. Everybody in the tech space, waiting. All the pin plays, Microsoft, Oracle, OpenAI, they're all waiting for Nvidia. When that comes out, if they hit the mark and everything goes boom, well now, I'm expecting all the lights on exchanges to just go bling, 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 bling. We might not get back to where we were, but I would be expecting all things to be pretty good based on that news, pretty good for the next little while. Money to be made, money to be lost if it goes in the other direction. We did really well this quarter, but next quarter we don't think we're... Although I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to report all the deals that they've cut. we're investing in this. We signed some business and yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Notice how the news about Palantir went away, all their security issues. The question is, will they rise if Nvidia does well? Will Anthropic rise? Will OpenAI rise in terms of valuations and things like that if Nvidia does well? Whoever's public tech, you're going to get hit with Nvidia, whether they do well or do poor. Right? That's really what we're looking at. So I'm in, right? I'm in the market, obviously. I'm cautiously optimistic. Stop losses are in because, yeah, I'm not trying to go out like that. Tomorrow's going to be one heck of a day. One heck of a day. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you drop me a note, say hello, smash the likes, tell your friends about us, and absolutely, if you can, become a member because things are popping. Membership has its benefits, especially if you're a big bagger. After the bull markets. Not long after. We're going to have a short time where things are going to go well. Do we get a Santa rally? I think we get a Santa rally, especially if NVIDIA does well. We'll get a Santa rally because it'll be NVIDIA doing well, and then ETF, 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 ETF. Oh, and then interest rate cut. Boom. Just like we've been saying for months. That's where I'm seeing it. Anyway, everybody, I will be back on tomorrow morning for the Crypto Daily. 6:30 a.m. Be ready for it. There's going to be a lot to see. A lot to see. Right? Let me see what's going on over here. Give me one sec. Just want to see what's going on. What this starts to look like. Okay. All right. New platform is going to come. Looks like by the end of next week. The new Grow My Bag social media platform should be here by the end of next week. I've told my team, hella high water, I want it done. And they laughed at me. They laughed at me. They're like, dude, I mean, we don't have that far to go. Like everything that we're doing now is, make this look better, make that work better. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. It's always going to be a work in progress. But when you've got 12,000 articles, videos, a regular feed for people to talk, a private group feed like the big baggers there, we're talking to other people to create theirs. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And it's going to be for pay only. It's not going to be a free social media platform. It is going to be a for pay social media platform. Before you get upset, it's not going to be all that expensive. It's not going to be expensive at all. It'll still be a no-brainer price, right? It'll still be a no-brainer price. For everything that you get, it's going to be a no-brainer price. But the reason why we're charging, a couple of reasons. We don't want bots, right? We do a lot to guard against bots, and we want to keep advertising to a minimum. If you see an ad on the platform, we want that ad to be by a member. So if you own a business, like maybe you own an insurance company or you own this, that, the other, we want you to be in the directory. We want you to be able to pay for ads, that kind of stuff, but it'll all be with us. We have no intention of putting ads in the feed. The ads, we're thinking are going to go on the sides so that we don't clutter the feed, so that you can see who's talking and all that good stuff. We're not, for right now, we're not bubbling things up to the top. You have something to say, you have something to say, I have something to say. Well, you're going to see it in order. You want to see what that person has to say? We'll be creating a page where you'll be able to go to that person's page. Thank you, Max Alice, for letting us know that you invested in yourself, by the way. We'll create a page where you can see that person's profile and you can see what they've written, what they've posted. And of course, like I said, we drop articles every day. Tonight, I think I dropped, I'm going to say like 16 articles. This morning, I had like 20 articles. We're scouring. We are scouring the internet. We're not perfect, but we're trying to get as much information in everybody's hands as possible. That's why we're charging. This platform is like no other. Like no other. You want to be here, you want access to that information, glad. We're going to keep it cheap. We understand that people can't afford everything, and we want to keep it as cheap as possible. But we have to come to the realization that we can keep it cheap, but we still have to make money. And we're like I said, we really don't want to do the whole advertising in the feed thing. I hopped over to Facebook. I have a Facebook account. Hopped over to Facebook, and what happens on Facebook? My first entry on the feed is not any of my friends. I'm going through like 5, 6, 7 ads. Stupid suggestions for stuff before I get to my friends' posts. Yeah, we don't want that. That's a mess. We don't want that. So this is the kind of stuff we've been working on. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. Thank you so much for showing up. As always, thank you for showing up. Thank you for your trust, patience, all that. I'll fight for your trust every day. Everybody have a great night. See you tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. for the Crypto Daily. Bye-bye.